Lisa questions. A new question came in. The trouble with sexual inappropriateness in spiritual communities. Isn't that why men, women, girls, and boys were separated for thousands of years in both educational and religious communities? Isn't it only recent times when humans, in their ignorance, thought it was okay to combine the genders and expect it to be all right? Oh, I think when it was men and women, there was, in the men's groups, and maybe in the women's groups too, but particularly in the men's groups, sexual activity occurring. Like I used to be involved in a Buddhist group where the male teacher was gay and he separated the men from females, and all the men were having bonky bonky. I don't know about the women, but in the male part. Yeah, it's interesting. I always think, my thing that I think is that when teachers begin to separate out the males and the females, and then the alarm bells start ringing for me, ironically. Because if you look at religions, it always starts with a little bit, like, oh, well, if the female changes the way she dresses, then it won't evoke so much sexuality in the men. So let's just change the way the female does this or the female does that. And normally what ends up happening in groups is that the female becomes insanely oppressed. Like if you look at a lot of spiritual groups, like the Buddhist group that I was involved with, and the men there was a lot of sex going on in the men's group. The men definitely had control of the group, it separated out, and then all the leadership roles were given to the men that then didn't communicate with the women. So my experience is that as soon as the men and the women begin to be separated out, the women most of the time are then going to be suppressed. So as soon as I start looking in or discovering a group, I start asking, how are the women treated? Are the women treated differently? What are the women's rights? Do the women have the same rights as the men? Are the women able to access all areas of the spiritual commune together? Like, often it's like, yeah, the woman can't go into this one, or, it's, that's my perspective on it. But you know what? On the human level, Lisa could most probably be defined into the category of a feminist. So just know that, and know that I don't think I'm right. And so the perspective that I'm going to give is more of a feminist perspective on everything. Which I'm not saying feminism is bad or good, it's just, I think it's good, but it's, also got problems. It's a perspective. Like I researched a lot about cults, and it always tends to be, as soon as the women are treated differently, there tends to then be atrocities done. Because it's often about control, and so it's controlling the females and controlling sexuality. There's so much more complications to it.